In a series of tweets posted Friday morning, Mr. Trump said that American forces were cocked and loaded to strike 3 targets in Iran, but that he had called off the military action with 10 minutes to spare when a general told him that the attack would probably kill 150 people. On Monday, they shot down an unmanned drone flying in international waters. We were cocked and loaded to retaliate last night on 3 different sites when I asked, how many will die? 150 people, sir, was the answer from a general. 10 minutes before the strike I stopped it, not. He added that he was in no hurry to attack Iran. Our military is rebuilt, new and ready to go, he said. Mr. Trump also called the 2015 nuclear deal negotiated during the Obama administration a desperate and terrible deal. The downing of an unmanned, $130 million American surveillance drone on Thursday by the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps brought tensions to the boiling point. President Trump ordered a retaliatory strike but backed away at the last minute, officials said. Hostilities have intensified between the two countries since President Trump withdrew the United States from the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran and reintroduced economic sanctions. The U.S. has turned up pressure on Iran. See the timeline of events. Last week, United States officials said Iran was responsible for explosions on 2 tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital passageway for much of the world's oil. This week, Iran announced that it would soon breach a limit on nuclear material that it had agreed to in the 2015 deal, and soon after, the United States announced it would be sending additional troops to the region. Now, both sides are trying to dominate the narrative about what happened to the drone, and what may happen next. The tensions between Iran and the United States had led international diplomats to call for a calm and considered approach from both countries. Sergei Ryabkov, Russia's deputy foreign minister, called the situation a balancing act on the edge of war. It is absolutely evident from the incoming information that the situation is extremely dangerous, he told Russian news outlet TASS. The menace of a conflict is not gone, and we once again are calling on responsible parties, if any are still left in Washington, to weigh all the consequences. We warn against incautious steps. The United Nations Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, also issued a statement on the situation in the Gulf. I have only one strong recommendation, nerves of steel, he said, according to Alessandra Vellucci, a United Nations spokeswoman. Europe has found itself stuck between the United States and Iran as their dispute escalates, and officials are still working to preserve the 2015 Iran nuclear deal that the United States withdrew from last year. Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany, speaking to journalists in Brussels after a European Union summit meeting, said the BLIC's foreign policy advisors had discussed the situation. We concerned, she said, but added that there was still hope and trust for a diplomatic, political solution in a very tense situation. Prince Khalid bin Salman, Saudi Arabia's deputy defense minister, said on Twitter that he met with Brian Hook, the United States envoy on Iran, to discuss escalating the tensions. Until President Trump took to Twitter on Friday morning, American officials were largely quiet in the immediate aftermath of the strike. But the Iranian authorities have spent much of the day working to define the narrative of what happened to the American drone, including displaying what officials said were fragments of the aircraft. A Revolutionary Guards commander said on Friday that Iran had refrained from shooting down an American military plane that was accompanying the drone. With the U.S. drone in the region, there was also an American P-8 plane with 35 people on board, General Amir Ali Hajizade, the commander of Iran's aerospace force, said, according to the Tasnim news agency. This plane also entered our airspace and we could have shot it down, but we did not. General Hajizade earlier told the Iranian state broadcaster IRIB that his forces had issued a repeated warnings to the drone before a surface-to-air missile was fired at it on Thursday. The same news outlet on Friday released a series of photographs that it said showed the retrieved fragments of the American drone. Iranian state-run news outlets posted footage that they said showed the moment an Iranian air defense system shot down the American drone early Thursday. In the clip, a missile can be seen being fired from a Khordad-3 air defense system of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, and a few seconds later, an explosion can be seen in the sky. Neither the video or the photographs reveal much about the nature of the strike. On the heels of American security warnings, several international airlines announced on Friday that they had diverted flights that cross Iranian-controlled airspace. The Federal Aviation Administration issued an emergency order early Friday that prohibited all American flights in Tehran-controlled airspace above the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman because of a heightened military activities and increased political tensions. United Airlines said in a statement it had suspended its service between Newark Airport in New Jersey and Mumbai, India, that travels through Iranian airspace after conducting a thorough safety and security review. Customers planning to travel to Newark from Mumbai are to be rebooked on alternative flights to the United States. The German carrier Lufthansa said in a statement that its planes would not fly over the Strait of Hormuz and that the diversion area was likely to expand. The Dutch airline KLM has also diverted flights as a precautionary measure because of the incident with the drone, it said in a statement. Qantas Airlines of Australia said in a statement that it would be rerouting flights to avoid the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf of Oman, which would affect its flights between Australia and London. British Airways said it was also taking similar measures in line with the FAA advisory. Oil prices are reflecting security concerns about the Persian Gulf. Brent crude, the international standard, has risen about 5.8% since the drone was shot down, trading at about $65 a barrel Friday morning. That is below the recent high of about $72 a barrel in mid-May. About a third of the world's crude oil and other petroleum products carried by tanker pass through the region, and incidents in the Gulf have caused the tanker companies to proceed with caution. One executive at a company that operates a large global tanker fleet, speaking on condition of anonymity to discuss confidential business matters, described a sudden drying up of transactions in the region, with some companies saying they would stay away for now. The Norwegian shipping company Frontline, whose Front Altair tanker was attacked on June 13 in the Gulf of Oman, said this week that until the security of this important shipping lane is secured, Frontline will exercise extreme caution when considering new contracts in the region. Robert McLeod, Frontlinea's chief executive, said in an email on Friday that the company took immediate action after its ship was attacked. We stopped some of our vessels in the area, and only recommenced trading once increased security was in place. European leaders are scrambling to preserve the 2015 nuclear deal that the United States withdrew from last year, laying the groundwork for the current standoff. Both Iran and the European signatories of the deal have made efforts to sustain it in the face of renewed American sanctions. Crisis talks are scheduled to take place in Vienna on June 28, even after the Iranian Foreign Minister, Mohammad Javad Zarif, said on Friday that Tehran would move forward with plans to reduce compliance with the agreement. The downing of the drone has further complicated efforts to save the deal. In the 2015 nuclear deal, Iran agreed to curb its uranium enrichment program but retained some of the technology and material to make fuel for a weapon. Uranium ore contains less than 1% of U-235, an isotope used to fuel reactors and make bombs. A process called enrichment increases the percentage of U-235. Enrichment process. 3.7% enrichment. Iran was allowed to keep up to 300 kilograms, or 660 pounds, of uranium enriched to 3.7% for nuclear power. Iran also agreed to stop enriching uranium beyond 5%. Iran's threat: Iran announced Monday that it would break the 660-pound cap in 10 days. 20% enrichment. Iran had a stockpile of uranium enriched to 20%, which could have made it faster to accumulate fuel for a weapon. The country agreed to dilute the stockpile or make it unusable. Iran's threat: Iran said it might resume enriching uranium to 20%. 90% enrichment. Iran would need to continue enriching to 90% or higher to make a weapon, something it had never achieved. Iran did not say whether it planned to enrich uranium beyond 20%. Enrichment process. Uranium ore. Uranium ore contains less than 1% of U-235, an isotope used to fuel reactors and make bombs. A process called enrichment increases the percentage of U-235. 3.7% enrichment. Iran was allowed to keep up to 300 kilograms, or 660 pounds, of uranium enriched to 3.7% for nuclear power. Iran also agreed to stop enriching uranium beyond 5%. 20% enrichment. Iran had a stockpile of uranium enriched to 20%, which could have made it faster to accumulate fuel for a weapon. The country agreed to dilute the stockpile or make it unusable. 90% enrichment. Iran would need to continue enriching to 90% or higher to make a weapon, something it had never achieved. Iran's threat. Iran announced Monday that it would break the 660-pound cap in 10 days. Iran's threat. Iran said it might resume enriching uranium to 20%. Iran did not say whether it planned to enrich uranium beyond 20%. What Iran said it would do now. Uranium ore. Uranium ore contains less than 1% of U-235, an isotope used to fuel reactors and make bombs. A process called enrichment increases the percentage of U-235. Enrichment process. 3.7% enrichment. Iran was allowed to keep up to 300 kilograms, or 660 pounds, of uranium enriched to 3.7% for nuclear power. Iran also agreed to stop enriching uranium beyond 5%. Iran's threat. Iran announced Monday that it would break the 660-pound cap in 10 days. 20% enrichment. Iran had a stockpile of uranium enriched to 20%, which could have made it faster to accumulate fuel for a weapon. The country agreed to dilute the stockpile or make it unusable. Iran's threat. Iran said it might resume enriching uranium to 20%. 90% enrichment. Iran would need to continue enriching to 90% or higher to make a weapon, something it had never achieved. Iran did not say whether it planned to enrich uranium beyond 20%. By Sergio Payenha/The New York Times. Asked about the tensions, President Emmanuel Macron of France said on Friday that we absolutely need to avoid escalation in the region, but added that countries needed to remain committed to regulating Iran's nuclear activity. Guillaume Xavier Bender, an Iran expert with the German Marshall Fund in Brussels, said that the United States, having withdrawn from the nuclear deal, appeared to have no real plan or strategy on Iran. No one understands the goal, including Iran, he said. Do the Americans want regime change, or a photo op, or negotiations, and on what terms, Mr. Xavier Bender said, adding, Europeans are trying to preserve the situation without knowing what the end game is. Iran's takedown of an RQ-4 Global Hawk surveillance drone on Thursday was not the first time the Iranians have outfoxed an unmanned surveillance aircraft used by the United States. In December 2011, an RQ-170 Sentinel, a smaller, bat-winged drone, disappeared after takeoff from a base in Afghanistan. It either crashed or was forced down in northern Iran, nearly intact. The Iranians claimed they had hacked the drone's avionics and guided it to a controlled landing. The Americans attributed the loss of the drone to a technical malfunction. Iran rejected President Barack Obama's request to return the drone. Instead, Iranian scientists dissected it with the aim of reverse engineering the drone's capabilities. The semi-official Fars news agency claimed at the time that Iran's armed forces had captured a prize that could blunt the U.S. technological edge over its adversaries. David D. Kirkpatrick, Megan Specchia, Stephen Erlanger, Rick Gladstone, Martina Stevies-Gridneff, Stanley Reed, Neil MacFarquhar, Michael Wolgalinter, Nick Cumming Bruce, and Fahim Abed contributed reporting.